Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 738A, and today's date is August 10th, 2015, and the title of this episode is, There are 4 million fewer jobs for Americans aged 25 to 54 than in December of 2007. Now, before I get started, I just want to make a quick announcement. I have placed the interview with Andy Hoffman on the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is X22 Report Spotlight. You can go right over to YouTube, type that in. It'll bring you right to the video. If you want to come to the X22Report.com site, you can come over to the site. You will see the interview on the right-hand side. You can view it from right there, or you can click on the top title of the YouTube video, and it'll bring you right over to the X22 Report Spotlight channel, and you can view it there. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. We're going to head out to Greece right now, and we understand that Greece is in a tough situation. We realize the people voted for no creditor bailout. They didn't agree to the terms, but Tsipras said, you know what, we're going to have to take this deal because we have no alternative. And we see they're trying to come up with some type of bailout by August 11th because we know on August 20th, they have this huge payment that they're going to have to make. We understand that the IMF is sitting out right now. They might come back to the talks sometime in the fall. And at this point in time, I don't see this bailout going forward. They might get some emergency loans because they couldn't reach an agreement, but I don't see them getting a full bailout. And at this point in time, Greece is stuck in limbo. We have austerity, we have businesses failing, we have businesses closing where people have no employment, people do not have homes, people have a hard time finding food. The banks are collapsing. Most of the people have taken their money out of the banks because they knew what happened in Cyprus. They were prepared because they knew they didn't want their money in the banks because they knew capital controls were going to be in effect for a very long time. And this is what we're seeing right now. And for all those people who don't think it's going to happen here or in Europe and Canada, guess what? It is going to happen. So they're looking to come to some type of an agreement by August 11th. Will this happen? I'm not too positive on this right now because the IMF is completely out of the talks. They're saying, yeah, with Greece, with this type of debt, it cannot be sustained. It will collapse in the next couple of months if we continue on like this. And this whole thing really could have been completely avoided if Greece stuck to what it was doing, if it followed the people, and they followed up on the odious debt and the war reparations that Germany owed. They could have written off all of this debt and started fresh and create their economy, create jobs, spur economic growth, almost like Iceland, because this is what they did. They took control. They got away from the bankers. This is what we need. This is what we need to happen right now. I mean, the Eurozone is basically falling apart. I mean, S&P was out there and they downgraded them. We understand that factory orders are down. We see the Eurozone sentiment. It has dipped in August. Centex Research Group Index tracking morale among investors and analysts dipped to 18.4 from 18.5 in July. Now, they were expecting this to go up to 20.2. So this is a huge decline, and they missed expectations. Because people are waking up, and they're starting to realize something is wrong. I mean, the OECD countries, they have 35 million people between the ages of 16 and 29 that are jobless. Overall, young people are twice as likely as prime age workers to be unemployed right now. This is why we're seeing unemployment rates in these countries between 40 and 50%. How in the world can the economies improve if we're having half of the youth unemployed? Because this is the next generation. The next generation needs to earn the money to contribute to paying off the debt of these countries with their revenue. With the money they're saving, they go out and they purchase homes, they buy cars, and they buy goods. If they're unemployed, and believe me, the other 50%, they don't have great jobs. Most of them have part-time jobs. They're not bringing in the funds. So we definitely have a problem. But here in America, it's not any better. And of course, the numbers are a little bit more skewed. I mean, they're using the U6 unemployment rate for 18 to 29-year-olds. And this is looking at about 13.8%. Now, of course, there's a lot of adjustments here. The labor force participation do not include those people that have fallen off. You know, the young people who've graduated college, who have student loans. They don't want jobs. Well, of course they do. This is absolutely ridiculous. And they don't count those people who haven't been on an interview for 4 weeks. They might be continually looking for jobs, but they're just not counted. And what's happening right now is that these jobs are completely drying up. There's nothing out there. 80% of college graduates who are coming out of college right now, they cannot find work in their majors. So they have to go look for part-time work. They're living with their parents and their loans are modified. So this is a huge problem. What's very interesting about this, and I talk a lot about real estate, is that this economy, when we look at the retail sector, we look at unemployment, we look at the college graduates, we look at all the bubbles, and we understand from all of this that this economy is completely falling apart and collapsing. We hear a lot from a lot of different financial experts, and they're out there, you know, ringing the alarm bell saying, yes, this system is crashing. And if real estate is doing so well, why are we seeing companies laying off in their mortgage departments? Why is housing.com laying off 600 people? If the real estate industry is so strong. I mean, if the automobile industry is so strong, why is Advance Auto Parts laying off 50 people in their corporate offices? They'd be adding jobs. They'd be expanding because business is so great. But this is not what we're seeing. Let's put all this into perspective here. And let's go back in time. And when we look back in time, we see people employed. We see retail expanding. We see strip malls opening up, malls building out, adding more stores, people hiring. What we're seeing now is more and more stores closing, laying off people. We see the housing market where the mortgage departments are laying off people, and the banks are instructed to keep the foreclosures off the market so the prices can go up. And when we look at unemployment, we see very interesting things. I mean, if we look over the previous year from July 2014 through July 2015, those in the age group of 55 and older gained 1.5 million jobs. Youth 16 to 18 and 20 to 24 lost 887,000 jobs and 489,000 jobs. Today, there are 4 million fewer jobs in this age group, 25 to 54, than in December of 2007. So in December of 2007, we were hitting the peak, and we had 4 million jobs. So you're trying to tell me we're in this incredible recovery with 4 million fewer jobs between the main age bracket of work. Something's wrong. From 2009 to 2013, Americans in this age group were down 6 million jobs. Those years' alleged economic recovery apparently bypassed Americans of prime working age. As of July 2015, the U.S. has 27,265,000 people with part-time jobs, of whom 6.3 million, or 23%, are working part-time because they cannot find full-time jobs. There are 7.124 million Americans who hold multiple part-time jobs in order to make ends meet. This is an increase of 337,000 jobs from a year ago. So what are we seeing here? People cannot make it with this type of work. People have no work, people have part-time work. And this is why we are having this problem. The jobs are drying up. And what are we seeing? We are seeing more and more part-time work, waiters, waitresses, if there is any retail jobs. But those full-time, high-paying jobs, they are disappearing. I mean, we have been seeing layoffs from the start of 2014 going into this year in the hundreds of thousands. I mean, companies are laying off people by the tens of thousands. We have a problem. And this system cannot work. And it won't. It will collapse. And Russia, China, right now, they have their economies being pushed because of these low oil prices. And this is being done on purpose. And we see, and they know, they're continually purchasing gold because they realize the country with the gold, that's the country that wins. The country that just holds paper, that's the country that loses. And they realize this. And right now, Russia is ready to issue 30 million national payment cards in 2016. Because what they did is they designed their system to be separate and apart from the Western banking system. They're detaching because they know when this thing comes crumbling down, they can't be a part of it. They have to be completely independent, and their system has to work without being connected to the Western Central Bank. And this is why we see the BRICS, the AIIB. This is why companies are making bilateral trade agreements with China. This is why we see clearinghouses for the yuan and renminbi all around the world. I mean, except for the United States, of course. Because the United States realizes that if this system collapses, their alternative is to start war. This is what they're planning on. Because they do not want to be blamed for what is coming. And we can see that this is accelerating. The time is coming where we all have to realize that, yes, this economy will not make it much longer. Yes, they can prop it up. Yes, they can manipulate the numbers. Yes, they can start some type of an event. But eventually, something's going to break. Now, they can bring down the system on their own, which they would like to do, and this is why I believe they are trying to manipulate the system so they can raise the interest rates a little bit at a time. And they know once they do this, the economy is going to fall apart. But they're going to do it in different segments. And once they reach a certain point, they can say, we were in a recovery, the rate hike is working, and then all of a sudden, we're getting ready to do another rate hike, and we were hit with some type of physical attack or some type of cyber attack. And they can blame this on another country or group and say, we were in a recovery, it was working out perfectly, unemployment numbers went from 5.3% or whatever down to 4.9%, rates were going up, everything seemed perfect. And it seems this is the process that they're bringing us through. Now, something else can occur where everything starts to fall apart on its own. And this is what they're trying to control. And sometimes they can, and sometimes they can't. But we all need to be ready because we know it is coming. And when I say it is the collapse. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.